everyone. Myself Shruti Lad, a food technologist from Sharat Chandraji Pawar College of Food Technology, Chipur. Today we will be Today we will be on a tour of Enology, that is wine technology, which will be presented by our honorable speaker, Mr. Siddharth Manesar. Before resuming to our tour, I would like to introduce the anchor of this session, Ms. Pooja Dalal. Ms. Pooja has pursued her bachelor's degree in food technology from Sharat Chandraji Pawar College of Food Technology, Chipur, in the year 2019. She has completed her implant training at Amul Dairy in Virar and Coca-Cola Beverages in Vada. She is currently working with Bisleri International Vivendi as quality officer since the last 1 year. Before resuming further, I would like to welcome all on the third day of the wonderful series of this online webinar series of trends and opportunities in food industries, which is organized by Sharat Chandraji Pawar College of Food Technology, Chipur. Now, I would like to request the anchor of this session, Ms. Pooja, to take on with the further proceedings. Ms. Pooja?
Am I audible?
Yes.
Thank you, Shruti. Good morning, everyone. Firstly, let me take a moment to thank our organizing committee of Sharat Chandraji Pawar College of Food Technology for giving me this opportunity to host this session. Today, we have joined this virtual webinar on basic of Enology, which is also called as wine technology, which will be presented by Mr. Siddharth Manesar. I am very glad to tell you all that Mr. Mane sir had pursued his bachelor in food technology from Sharat Chandraji Pawar College of Food Technology in 2015. And sir had also completed his master's in viticulture and oenology from Cattolica del Sacro Cuore Università, Italy. Currently, sir is designated as assistant winemaker at Vidadi Valley Beverages, Bangalore, and he is also named as wine expertise in wine fermentation, blending, and bottling process. Sir had also completed his harvest implant training at Sula Vineyards Private Limited, Nashik, and Marchesi Mazzei SPA Agricola, Italy. And Sir had also completed WSET level 1 and 2. I would like to add that Sir was popularly known as winemaker of Sharat Chandraji Pawar College of Food Technology, where he initially started to prepare wine. Honey wine prepared by him was the center of attraction during World Food Day 2014. He was not only appreciated by his college, but also by the expertise of renowned wine manufacturing industry. Now, I request Mr. Siddharth Mane sir to resume this presentation, and also I request all the participants to mute their microphones to avoid interruptions. Mr. Siddharth Mane sir, please.
Yes, thank you so much for your warm welcome and good morning to all. And how are you? You all are enjoying the pandemic vacations, I hope so.
Yes.
So, basically, we will be starting our lecture with the basics in enology. Firstly, I would like to tell you enology is wine making, the process by which we make wine. So I'll start my presentation so you will get an idea like how the process is actually done. Okay, so the craft of winemaking has inspired hundreds of thousands of people to live the city life for their country. The wine, but what the winemaking is actually, so in the truth, winemaking is an endurance process of observation, sanitization, and practice. All of the purpose billions of billions through bewildering process of fermentation. So basically, so Hello. Hello. Am I audible? Hello.
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah. So basically, we will start like by explaining you what is enology. So the study of wine is divided into two categories, that is viticulture and enology. Viticulture, that is, it came from a Latin word and it is also known as wine growing. It is the cultivation and harvesting of grapes. It is a branch of science of horticulture, while the native territory of Vitis vinifera, the common grape wine, ranges from Western Europe to the Persian shores of the Caspian Sea. The wine has demonstrated high levels of adaptability to the new environment. Hence, viticulture can be found on every continent except the Antarctica. Now, what is enology? Enology is a science and the study of wine and wine making. Distinct from viticulture, the agricultural endeavors of wine growing and grape harvesting. The English word enology derives from the word enos, that is wine, and the suffix is logia, that means study of. So it is basically the study of wine. From the ancient Greek language, an enologist is an expert in the field of comprehended by the viticulture and enology. Designation for enology training programs and research centers that includes schooling, training, and education in the outdoor and indoor aspects of the wine and the making of wine. So for today's webinar, we will learn about basics of enology, that is wine making. Similar to enology, viticulture is also an interesting topic to study, but for today, we will study about the enology, and if it is possible, we can discuss viticulture some another day. So let's start with our presentation. So we will walk through the actual process of wine making, which is from grape to glass. Before that, we will introduce what is exactly wine. So as you can see on this slide, you will find a definition, that is wine is an alcoholic beverage made from the fermented fruit juice. The reason here it is mentioned fruit juice is because wine can be made from any fruit which we can use, whether it is a grape or strawberries or any other fruit. So grape wine is produced by fermenting crushed grapes using various types of yeast. So here, as you know, being a fruit technologist, when you prepare a bread, you put yeast into it so that it grows and it improves the quality. So here we add the yeast to our grape juice. So it helps to ferment our grape juice and to make the wine. So there are different types of wines, that is red wine, white wine, and it is also classified of classification of wine is also mentioned is like sparkling wine, desert wine, ice wine, fortified wines, and table wines. There are also many health benefits depending on which wine you are consuming. As it is said, like a glass of a red wine, you can have it every day, and it is very healthy for you. So now we will move to the presentation. Over here, you can see there are two pictures. One is of a vineyard and one is of the winery. Vineyard is a place where we grow wine, that is grapes. And the winery is a place where we process the grapes into wine. The actual process of enology, that is, we perform in the winery. So let's start our presentation with the wine making from grape to glass. So there is no single recipe for making wine. That said, there are a lot of well-known processes and techniques that produce a major style of wine. It all starts with the picking of grapes. Unlike avocados and bananas, grapes doesn't ripe once they are picked. So they have got to be picked just at the right moment. What is the right moment mentioned over here? Right moment means the Brix level and the acid level of the grapes. So depends winemaker what kind of wine he has to make. So he will decide like what bricks he should maintain. So the grapes are harvested at that particular brick. So that is known as the right moment. During the harvest season, this means all hands on the desk. Harvest jobs are plentiful, but they are all hard work based. Some grapes are picked slightly less ripe to produce wine with higher acidity. Usually, white and sparkling wines are higher in acidity, where some grapes are picked slightly more ripe to produce wine with the higher sweetness concentration, such as late harvest desert wine. But sometimes the weather does not cooperate and fails to ripen the grapes properly. This is why some vintages taste better than the other. Over here, the word vintages means every year there is a season of a harvest. In India, it starts from January or February, which lasts till March to April. This particular period is called a vintage, where we grow wines, we process it, and we make different wines from it. So after the grapes are picked, they are delivered to the winery. The winery's first step is to process the grapes. Wine grapes are never washed. It would ruin the fruit quality concentration. But even in foreign countries, if you see, there are few wineries who wash the grapes before processing, where they think like if they wash the grapes, they will have a better quality wine. So instead, they are sorted, squeezed, and powdered into submission. Many types of red wines, like Cabernet Sauvignon, are put on the sorting table to remove the MOGs, that are materials other than grapes. This is a sorting table which you can see on the picture. Here, the foreign materials which comes with the grapes. Foreign materials are like leaves, stones, or any other foreign material which are that are MOGs. So the red wine grapes are with the thinner skin and soft tannins, such as Pinot Noir, are often fermented with the stems to add Okay. Sorry for the interruption. On the first picture, you see there are the berries crushed with the stems. So they crush the berries with the stems for having like for soft tannins and the phenolic compounds which are present in the stem. In the second picture, you can see that the berries which have thicker skins like monastrel are often destemmed to reduce bitter phenolics and harsh tannins. So there are two different types of wines where we can produce like the wine with higher tannins and phenolic compound. So we will this and we have to make like the softer wines like so there we will use like destemmed wine. Similar to red wines, white wines are typically not fermented with the skin and seeds attached. Most of the white wine grapes go directly to the pneumatic wine press. On the picture on the left hand side, you can see there is a machine out of which you can see the juice has been dropping, and there is a girl who is collecting the juice in a beaker. So this is a wine press where we press white grapes, extract juice from it. So this wine press which gently squeezes the grape with an elastic membrane. The leftover stuff after squeezing the grapes is called pomace, which you can see on the another picture. Grape pomace has many potential uses beyond the winery, including cosmetics and food products. Some white wines soak with the skins and the seeds for a shorter period of time. This adds phenolics like tannins. Overall, it increases the richness of the white wines. By the way, this process can be also be applicable and it is similar to orange wine. So what happens after you destem and crush the grapes and you extract the juice? So the next step is we transfer the wine into the tanks. So now the juice and the grape must is now transferred to the fermentation vessels. There are three different types of fermentation vessels, which you can see in the picture. The first one is the wood fermenter, second is stainless steel fermenter, and the third is concrete fermenter. Each one has their own and unique traits that affect how the wine will ferment. So after your wine has been transferred to the tank, the next step comes is the addition of yeast, and it is very important step. So you might be knowing there are different strains of yeast. The basic is like Saccharomyces cerevisiae strain. So we winemaker, we use Saccharomyces cerevisiae strain. There are different strains which we use. So many winemakers opt to use commercial yeast to better control the outcome of the fermentation, while others develop their own local yeast strains or let the nature takes its course and allow wild yeast ferment the wine naturally. Over here, I'll explain you like we add commercial yeast which we can get into the market, which is specially made for wine fermentation. But for a better fermentation, we use that. So it can inhibit the growth of other microbes and other natural yeast present in the skins of the berries. But there are few winemakers even who don't use this, uh, who don't use the yeast, commercial yeast, and they prefer fermenting it naturally with the yeast present in the skin. So yeast consumes the sugar in the grape must and then poops out ethanol. Like when we add the yeast into the grape juice, it will start consuming the sugars present in the grape juice. So once it consumes the sugar, it starts releasing out the ethanol, which we also call as alcohol. So grape must sweetness is measured in bricks and is very basically one brick results in 0.6% of alcohol by volume. For example, if you pick grapes at 24 bricks, you will get a wine with 14.5% of alcohol by volume. The exact concept is a bit more complicated, but this one is a very dirty and fast version which actually works. Where red wine fermentation has a hotter than white wine. Usually between 80 to 90 degree Fahrenheit, red wines are fermented, that is 27 degree Celsius to 32 degree Celsius. Some winemakers allow fermentation to rise even higher, who opt to increase the temperature below about 32 degrees Celsius, so they can tweak the flavors into the wine. Whereas white wine, on the other hand, needs to preserve a delicate floral and fruit aromas. So they are often fermented a lot cooler around 50 degree Fahrenheit, that is 10 degrees Celsius and up. So if you compare red wines and white wines, red wines are basically fermented at the temperature 27 degrees Celsius to 32 degrees Celsius, whereas white wines are fermented at 10 degrees Celsius and above. This is because it can, for red wines, we can tweak the flavor, and in white wines, we have to preserve the floral, and the fruity aromas. While fermentation, during the process of the fermentation, carbon dioxide is continuously being released out. So, due to which the grape seeds and the skins rise to the surface, which you can see in the picture placed on the left hand side. So, some winemakers control this by punching down the cap 3 times a day. Other winemakers prefer to use pump over, where the juice from the bottom is gently poured over the top of the skins and the seeds. So here you can see the picture on the left shows a punching machine. It goes directly inside the tank and it presses the skins and the seeds inside the wine. On the picture on the right side, you can see a pump over where you collect the wine from the bottom wall and again you put the wine on the surface of the skins and the seeds. So the choice of the punch down versus pump over really depends on the type of wine grape. Really depends on the type of wine grape and desired taste profiles. Generally speaking, lighter wines use pump over, while sweeter wines use punch down. Are done, it's time to rack the wine into another tank. So in this picture, you can see we are collecting wine from both the bottom walls and we are transferring it to the another tank. So when the fermentation is done, it's time to rack the wine out of the fermentation vessel. The juice that runs free without being pressed is generally considered the purest, highest quality wine. It's called pre-run wine and is kind of like extra virgin wine. So, oh, it's me in the picture. So you can see that I'm standing inside the tank in one picture, and in another picture, I'm like removing the skin. So can you tell me like why exactly I'm doing this? If possible, you can unmute your microphones and you can just try to answer like what why I'm doing it. Hello, 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 Pooja. If possible, can everyone unmute their microphone?
Yes, yes.
Yes. Uh, can anyone tell me like why I'm standing in the tank and in another picture I'm removing the leftover skin? Can anyone tell why it is done?
To mash the pulp.
Sorry, what are you saying? Okay, I'll tell you like the rest of the wine is been fresh wine. You can see on the picture left and on the left hand side, I'm standing on the skins and the seeds of the wine, which you can see on the previous slide where we done the hydraulic press. So when we rack the wine, this all skins and the seeds goes to the bottom and we have to remove it from the tank. So that's what exactly I'm doing inside the tank. I'm just removing the skins from the tank and you can see I'm collecting the remaining skins and the seeds in the vessel. So now what we will do with this? So we will take this skins and the seeds and we will put down it into the press machine where we actually press the white wine. So we will press and we will extract more wine from it. Typically, it has been blended back into the pre-run wine. The wine first which we rack, we will add this wine into that, and we can do the blending because we winemaker think like the less waste, the better. So we try to make the less wastage so we can have more output. Finally, the wine moves into what the French call is elevate. Elevate in simple language, you can also be called as oak barrel. So elevate is like a fancy way of saying waiting around. That is said a lot of happens in the winery while we wait for the wine to cure into something great. Wines go into the barrels, bottles, or the storage tank.
Yeah. So wines go into the barrels, bottles, and storage tanks. In the previous slide, we saw like there are different tanks, oak barrels. So what we do, like we do an aging process. After completion of fermentation and racking process, we do some aging process, which we do in the oak barrels, some stainless steel tanks, or even in the bottles. Some wines will wait for like 5 years before being released, others just few weeks. During this time, wines are racked, tasted, and also tasted. It it is also stirred. That is we call lees stirring, and often blended together to create a final wine. So once we put the wine into the barrels, we can see the malolactic fermentation will occur. Also, most red wines and some white wines like Chardonnay go through malolactic fermentation. What is malolactic fermentation? Where we convert malic acid into lactic acid. So, why this conversion is been done? Why the secondary fermentation like malolactic fermentation has been carried out? That's because where the microbes eat sour acids and produce softer and more buttery acids. So when if a wine is being malolactic been carried out by MLF, so it will not be more harsh. It will be softer and also buttery. So after this, the next step is like filtering the wine. Once once you are completed with your malolactic fermentation, then the next step comes is the filtration process. As you can see, the picture on the left hand side is the Kieselguhr filter, and the right hand side, which is plate and frame filter. I guess you might have been studied about the plate and frame filter during your course, but still I'll explain you like how it works. So now we can provide the crystal clear wine to our customer by filtering it. There are many wineries which use different methods of filtering wine. The first picture shows Kieselguhr filter, where we use diatomaceous earth, that is white powder and pink powder, commonly known, which helps to create a filter bed to filter the wine. In the second picture, you can see there is a plate and frame filter, which we use like different particle size filter paper pads, which are placed in between different plates. So this pads comes in a range from 0.1 micron to 15 micron pads. Depending on the wine style and different particle size, filter pads are selected. So what happens in this Kieselguhr filter? So basically, you can see there is a small drum which is placed and there is a big drum. So we add both the powder, that is white powder and pink powder, into that small drum where we collect wine. It rotates itself and the whole mixture is been transferred in the another drum. So in that another drum, there are different sieves placed into the drum. So this when this powder goes into that drum, it will form the filter beds on each sieve. So it helps to filter the wine. In the another picture, you can see there is a plate and frame filter where you have to place different pads of different size pads. You have to place it and then you can filter it. Once the wine has been filtered and it is ready for the bottling process, where you can see there is another filter picture you can see that is also called cartridge filter. So what we do is once you are done with your filtration process and you are up to the final process of bottling your wine, so that time we use the cartridge filter to make sure that the wine which we are bottling is crystal clear with no foreign material inside it. So you can see there is a white rod placed that is called cartridge filter. It comes in different various micron size. So we just place it on the stand and then we pass the wine through that cartridge. So this cartridge helps us to filter and get the pure wine without any foreign material. And then this pure wine is being transferred to the bottling machine. So where we can bottle it and then we can place it in like the market. So this is a short description of how the wine is been made, that is from glass to grape. So the next time when you go to the market and you buy a wine, you will be thinking like what exactly process the wine might have gone. So you can see that after bottling, the wines are been bottles have been kept over there. Now we will move to some of the theoretical part where we can see like demand of wine in the Indian market. So there is a lot of consumptions of alcoholic beverage in India since 2016 to 2020. So alcohol consumption in India has been increased by about 5.4 billion liters in 2016 and was estimated to reach about 6.5 billion liters by 2020. The steady increase in consuming these beverages can be attributed to multiple factors, including rising levels of the disposable incomes and the growing urban population, among others. Whereas you can see the alcohol market in India is like India's alcohol market consists of two main kind liquors, that is Indian made and foreign liquor. This was in addition to beer, wine, and other imported alcohols. Country liquor accounted for the highest market share, while spirits took up the majority of the consumption market. Whereas you can see young consumers are always being attracted to the alcohol. So although the average per adult intake of alcohol was considerably low in India when compared to other countries such as United States, heavy drinkers among young Indians were more prevalent. Men were more likely to drink than women by the large margin and were also more prone to the episodic drinking. According to the study, over 88% of Indians aged under 25 purchase or consume the alcoholic beverages. Even though it is illegal, this was despite ban on alcohol in some states across the country and the limitations on sales of some others. So this was a short description on the Indian market and like the consumers who are more attracted to the alcohols. So on this slide, you can see there is a forecasted alcoholic beverage consumption in India from 2016 to 2020 that is mentioned in billions in liters. So you can see from 2016, it was 5.38 billions per liter and it rose by 6.53 billion liters by 2020. So this shows like the wine industry or the beverage industry is growing rapidly.
Uh,
In the coming years, you can see more growth into this. From last 3 decades, the wine industry has grown immensely, and now it is growing as well. As compared to the foreign market, our Indian market is not so well developed, but we are still developing and we are growing faster. So now we will talk about there are about the courses which are offered in India and as well as in abroad. So basically, while the introduction you might have heard like I have completed WSET level 1 and level 2. So basically, what is WSET? It stands for Wine and Spirit Education Trust. So there are few academies in India who provide you this course. This course is basically of wine tastings, where you can learn how to taste a wine, and they also teach you like what is the difference between different vintages, how the wine is grown, and what are the different how to read the label, how to serve your wine. So you can learn it all into this course. So these courses are being offered by Taliho Beverage Academy, Sonal Holland Wine Academy, Why Not, and Sula Vineyards Private Limited. But I would like to tell you, like in India, we only have in level 3, and for level 4 and level 5, we have to opt in the foreign country. So what happens in this WSET? What you get once you have done with the WSET courses? With the level 1 and level 2, you will gain knowledge about wine tastings and different labels, like what is mentioned on the label and how to taste a wine. With the level 3, you can be professional and you can become a sommelier, where you can have like career opportunities in the hotel industry, where you can see there are sommeliers in hotels who can tell you like which wine you can have, which wine is good. So they can do a pairing, food pairing with the wine, and they can give you, and they can also suggest you like which wine is best for you. So you can become a sommelier also after this. And once level 3 is completed, you can even further process for the level 4 and level 5. Level 4 is like diploma in WSET, and level 5 is masters in WSET. That is also called master of wine. So you might have heard the name of Sonal Holland. She is India's first master of wine. This title is in common language, if we speak, this is like a celebrity title which will give you recognition all over the world. So every year they choose a MW, that is Master of Wine, and he has been awarded with a lot of prizes, and he can go. He's been invited to a lot of events and competitions and all. So this title is like an being a celebrity in wine industry. So after WSET, you can also pursue your master's course in viticulture and enology. So these courses are also available in bachelor's and also in master's degree. So in India, if we talk, there are few institutions like Gargi College in Nasik, VSI, Vasantdada Sugar Institute in Pune. There are even other institutes which offer you the course of wine technology and brewing in India. So, and if you opt like for foreign studies, so there are different universities which provide you these courses, like in masters in viticulture and enology. Masters in viticulture and enology is the study of wine growing to wine making. In this particular master's course, you can study both the aspects. So this course you can find in University of Adelaide, that is in Australia, Plumpton College in UK, UC Davis in US, Università Cattolica del Sacro Cuore, Italy, from where I completed my specializing course. So these are few universities, and there are even many more universities which you can like Google it, and you can find many universities according to your preference. So these universities offer you the courses and they teach you like what is the basics. They start from the basics to the advance. So you can learn what is exactly viticulture, how it is been implanted, and then how winemaking is carried out. So once this courses are been done, or even after your food technology courses, you can opt to join in the wine industry. But how? Like, what are the positions you can find in the wine industry? Like, after completing your food technology, or even after completing your master's or bachelor's in viticulture or enology, you can be appointed as a laboratory assistant or the laboratory in charge in a winery, or enologist, or a viticulturist, or even as an assistant winemaker. So there are different positions available in the wine industries. So whichever you prefer, you can apply for it. And also, like, if you are opting for foreign internships, like there are many foreign internships available. So if you are trying to apply for one, you can also see like there are many websites. Like, for example, if you are trying for New Zealand, there is a website called Wine Jobs New Zealand. So on that website, you can find there are different companies from New Zealand who have posted job postings onto the website. You can see there are different positions like cellar hand, harvest interns, then assistant winemaker. So you can choose accordingly. For starting for the basics, you can join the company as a harvest intern during which starts from January to April, where you can study the actual winemaking process, which I showed you through the pictures. So you can see the actual winemaking process, how it has been implicated in the winery. So the process which I showed you is one of the process, but there are different other processes which every winemaker use. So once you are done with the harvest intern, you can even apply for like cellar hands, where you can do the cellar jobs. Cellar is the tank hall, which tank hall is also called cellar. So you can apply for cellar hand jobs, or like viticulture jobs. You can be assistant viticulture, or you can be a viticulturist. So where you do the wine growing, that is completely to the agricultural field, how to grow a wine. There are different patterns, different techniques where you have to train your wine. So that job is of a viticulturist. And enologist do like the make wine making and viticulture, whereas winemakers, assistant winemakers, focus on the winemaking process. So here I have mentioned my contact details. Due to this, we have a short session on this. So I know like many of you might be having a lot of questions about it, like for career guidance and all the stuff. So I have mentioned my contact details. You can email me, or you can call me on my contact number. If no, if your questions are not been answered in this session, so you can just email me, write down. If even if you are like afraid of speaking up in this current, so you can just email me and write down your question. So I'll try to give you answer as soon as possible.
Thank you, sir. So with your
Thank you so much for listening me and for like seeing my presentation. I thank you from bottom of my glass, because the winemaker never says like bottom of my heart. He always says like from bottom of my glass. So here I end my presentation. Now I would like to interact with you all for your questions and your queries.
hello.
Yeah,
Thank you, sir. Cheers.
cheers.
Sir, so with your permission, shall we start the questionnaire session?
Yes, definitely.
The first question is from Namita Khedekar. Is the
Yeah,
process of sparkling wine is the same
yes.
with the red wine, and is the sparkling wine and champagne is the same?
See, Namita, sparkling wine and champagne is completely same. But you know, in France there is a region called Champagne, who was actually been patent for preparing champagne. So once you have been patent, you can't use the word, you can't use that name in other regions. So champagne has been made in the Champagne region of France, whereas sparkling wine is being prepared all over the world. But the process of making champagne and sparkling wine is same because both the wines are same. And now the your second question was like the process of red wine making and the sparkling wine making is same or not. Half process is same. Why would I say like half process? Because until the fermentation, the process is completely same. Like you just destem your grapes, you crush them, then you add yeast, then you ferment it. This is the first step of the sparkling wines. What is the second step of fermentation? That is the second step, we have to do the secondary fermentation, which is not MLF, that is malolactic fermentation. In this secondary fermentation, what we do is we fill the wines into the bottles, which you can, I guess, you can see. I'll again share the presentation and I'll show you. There is a
रथा पाणी दे ना पिल्लू.
see. In this picture, you can see bottles have been kept for aging. So why these are kept for aging? Like when there is, when you are preparing a sparkling wine, so that time, once you completed your first primary fermentation, your secondary fermentation starts. So your secondary fermentation is been carried out into the bottles. So what happens into the bottle when you put your wines into the bottle? Then there is you have to keep it aside for like till completion of the fermentation. Your fermentation is carried out into the bottle. No CO2 is been released out of the bottle because there are the bottles are tightly sealed with the rubber cork or the wooden corks. So these wine bottles are being placed once the fermentation has been complete on a wheel. So it is rotating into 360 degrees. Every day you have to rotate the wheel, and this rotation helps you the sediments which you get after the fermentation, like the dead yeast or any particle which is into the wine. So once you start your circulation, your sediments are at the bottom of the glass of the bottle. So once you start tilting your bottle upside down, your sediments come to the neck of the bottle. After coming to the neck of the bottle, you have a crystal clear wine and you have your sediments at the neck. So now how to remove these sediments? Because you have placed a cork on the head. So what we do is we freeze this bottles, and then we just burst out the cork. And once the cork has been removed, the lees or the settlement which has been done is been removed from the bottle, and again the wine has been filled, and then we again cork the bottles and it is ready for the sale. In during this process, you don't allow your CO2 to release out of the bottle. Once you are like making your sparkling wine, once it is been freezed, your CO2 is been trapped inside, so it doesn't release out. So when you put your sparkling wine into the glass, you can see the bubbles into it. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Second question is from Professor Avdut Gaikwad. For manufacturing of good quality of wine, which type of grapes to be used?
See, I would like to say like selection of grapes is more important. Like when you are selecting a particular variety or particular grapes, so what happens? You need to just check the acid levels and the bricks of your grapes. If you are having like the good bricks content and your acid levels, you can have a fantabulous wine. But if you opt for lesser bricks grapes, so you will have like a normal quality wine. So for having a good quality or a better quality wine, the process is also important. What you actually do. in the winery, but along with the grapes which you select are more important into this. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, sir, definitely. The third question is from Bhakti Thakur. What is the
Yes,
concept of fortified wine and what is the significance of it?
fortified wines.
Yes, sir.
Fortified wines, right?
Yes, yes.
Yes, yeah. Basically, fortified wines are like the normal wine which we make is completely different from the fortified wines. What we do in fortified wines is we add alcohol externally into it. The process of making fortified wines is like you might be heard of port wine, which is famous in Portugal. So what they do over there, they make fortified port wines. So once the fermentation has been started, so they will take their bricks to like 10 or 8 once the fermentation has been started, and they will stop the fermentation in between by adding externally the alcohol to it. Once the alcohol has been added, your alcohol percent rises in the wine. So once it rises above 16 or it goes to 16, your yeast is completely dead because of the alcohol. So it can't again produce the alcohol. So with because of this, you get the sweeter wine, and also you add a alcohol into it externally. So that's why this is called fortified wines.
Thank you, sir. Fourth question is from Ramananda. Uh, Sir, is there is any harmful effects of excess of wine consumption? What is the opinion dose of consumption for its better health and benefits?
See, like overdosing any alcohol, whether it is a wine or whether it is beer, whiskey, rum, or any alcohol, is harmful for us if you consume it in excess. But if you limit your consumption, it is actually beneficial for you. Whether any alcohol, whether it is a brandy, whiskey, rum, you can have benefits out of it. Similar as to wine, you will have benefits like it has been commonly said like a glass of wine, you can have it every night if you have it. So you can be more healthy because it controls your appetite, it helps to improve it, and it also prevents you from various disease also. It's also good for your heart. So consuming alcohol in a very proper and appropriate limits is actually good than consuming in excess value.
Thank you,
I
sir.
hope you got the answer.
Yes, yes. Fifth question is from MIA1. Species of Saccharomyces
Yeah,
cerevisiae, which is also used in bread. So, what type of
yeah.
yeast we use in wine, like dry yeast or compressed yeast?
We use dry yeast, and see, Saccharomyces cerevisiae is having like thousands and millions of strains. So the one which we use for bread is different. One which we use for wine is different. As we know, like there are different strains of it available. So for making wine, we use dry yeast, which is available in like a market. So that is completely different from the one which we use in bread manufacturing. And if you would like to know more about the yeast, I would suggest you like you can search for the Laleman website. On that website, you can find like the exact scenario of yeast, how they make the yeast for wines, what exact process they use for manufacturing yeast. So you will get all the information on yeast, which is actually been made for just for wines and alcoholic beverages. So Laleman supplies yeast to all the breweries and all the wineries.
Thank you, sir. The next
Yes.
question is that what are the advantages of aged wines?
See, aged wines are like people say, like oftenly, like the more old wine is the best wine. Yes, because it improves the flavors and also the quality of the wine and even the price of the wine. But the aged wines are also more important, like for our health benefits also. But you can see, like, once the bottle has been aged for a longer period, it starts reducing the color of the wine. If you see one young wine and the one old wine of same variety, you can see the difference in the color. But both the wines, whether it is young wine or whether it is old wine, it has its health benefits. And it is always healthy to drink a wine, whether it is a old wine or whether it is a young wine.
Thank you, sir. And the next question is that at what stage CO2 is been added?
See, dear, we don't add CO2 externally. As you can see over here, I'll show you on the presentation. See, when we add yeast into the grape juice or the must, we call must in the technical language, we call it must for the grape juice. So when we add yeast into it, the yeast starts growing and it start consuming the sugars into the wine or the must, and it starts releasing out the ethanol, which we call alcohol, plus CO2. It releases out the CO2. During fermentation process, it only releases the CO2. So we don't externally add CO2 into it. The only which need your wine is required, that is oxygen for your growth of your yeast. But CO2 is not been externally added. We just it is just released out and it is processed inside.
Okay, sir. Next question is from Pravina. Is there any
Yes.
opportunity like food safety officer in wine industries and internship in upcoming days in India?
Okay. Food safety. Sorry, can you please again repeat the question? I didn't got your
Yes, yes,
question.
sure. Is
Yes.
there any opportunity like food safety officer in wine industries and internship in upcoming days in India?
Yeah, see, if you are being a food safety officer, you are always welcomed in all the industries, whether it is a wine industry or whether it is any food industry. So basically, you can join the wine industry, and it's completely okay. Like, until you have your knowledge of winemaking or any, or you are wishing to learn what exactly is viticulture or what exactly is enology. So you are always welcome into it. And talking about the opportunities in abroad, so I would suggest, like, if you are new into this field, try for applying for the harvest intern positions that are basically for 2 months, because in abroad countries the harvest season is only for 2 or 3 months. So they only call the interns once in a while and then it's done. But if you want to join this industry and if you want to proceed with it, so I would suggest you join as an harvest intern, whether it is in India or whether it is in abroad. So this will explore you more to the winemaking and you will grasp more knowledge on winemaking and viticulture.
Yes, sir. Thank you. And the next question is from Tasneem Gufrana. Sir, is there
Yes.
any commercially available probiotic wine?
Commercially available probiotic wine. See, like, there are different kinds of wine available, whether it is fruit or something. People are inventing different styles of wine each and every day. But as of now, I have not heard like about any probiotic wine yet. But I don't know. In future, it might be because the winemakers are every time they try to make something different, and like, so it might happen like in future also you can get to know like if there is availability of probiotic wine or not. But yet I have not heard about it. So Hello.
Hello.
Yeah.
Okay, sir. Then next question is from Ramananda. Can
Yes.
we get a chance for internship in your organization?
In my organization, yeah, you can get a chance for an internship over there. But it's like we call the interns during the harvest season so that you can learn the actual process, what is wine making, and you can see the whole process into it. Uh, the harvest starts from January or February, depending on the climate and the grapes availability and the bricks that is more important. So it completely depends onto it, but it basically starts from January or February. So if you want, you can apply for the harvest positions. Even not even in my company, you can also apply in other wineries also, which are placed in India, whether they are in Bangalore or in Nasik or in other regions in Maharashtra. So there are like different fruit wines also. So you can opt according to it, and all the wineries open their harvest positions during the harvest season. So you can apply one for one.
Okay, thank you, sir. Is there any
Yeah.
questions or queries to anyone? So next question is from Anis Rangwala, sir. What is the effect
Yes.
of different types of fermenters? Example, wooden, cement, or steel on the quality of wine? Effect on quality of wine of different types of fermenters.
See, sir, there is no adverse effect on the quality of the wine because every fermenter has its own technique of fermenting the wine. Where you can see for the wooden fermenters that are like which are made of oak barrels. Oak barrels are also used for aging of wine, which releases its flavors into the wines, like flavors such as like vanillin or other flavors. So these wooden fermenters are more helpful for it. Even in the stainless steel tanks, there is no harm to the wines because in stainless steel tanks you can give the proper temperature which is required for your wine, whether it is cold or whether it is like hot. As we have seen, like red wines require hotter temperature and white wine requires colder temperature for fermentation. So it's easier to manage your fermentations in stainless steel tanks. And concrete tanks are also like you just see it as a concrete tank from outside, but from inside it is just a normal tank, but it doesn't have any bad or adverse effect on your wine. It always helps to improve your quality because in these tanks you are not able to put oxygen or you are not able to like induce any air into it. So this whether it is a wood fermenter or whether it is a concrete fermenter, you have like micro pores into it, so from where you can your air or your oxygen can pass into it. Whereas in steel fermenters, you don't have any possibility of entering your oxygen. So during fermentations, you keep your door, the upstairs door open, so your wine and your yeast can grasp oxygen to it, and then the further process has been carried out. But it is not at all harmful for the quality of the wine.
Okay, thank you, sir. And one more question is from Rangwala, sir, that how can we retain flavor and nutrients in different wines prepared from different fruits?
See, sir, different flavors and it's like when you start processing a wine. For example, if you take an orange wine, you will find citrus flavors into it. So once the fermentation has been started, you start consuming your sugar into it, and the alcohol has been produced. Whereas all your flavors starts extracting due to the fermentation process. These extracted flavors are into your wine, which when you consume your wine, you will get softer and like citrus flavors. Similar as grapes, you get different flavors. But I would like to tell like you get some flavors out of your grapes or your skins, but there are flavors which also can be generated because of your yeast,
Yeah.
which you add into it. So yeast helps to induce your flavors into the wine. So it also extracts from the skin and it also release out its own flavors also into the wine.
Okay, thank you, sir. Is there any questions to anyone? I hope every doubt is clear to all of you.
If like anyone is like more conservative for asking questions in the session, you can just mail me your questions or your queries, where I'll try to give you answers as soon as possible. You can
Sir,
mail me anytime
okay,
and you can give me a call.
okay, sir. One question is dropped by Manthan Kulkarni. Any
Yes,
opportunity in upcoming days in India as a taster?
as a wine taster. Yeah, you have like many opportunities in India as a wine taster. Wine taster is basically nothing but sommelier. For that, if you want to pursue as a wine taster, you need to do the WSET courses, which are offered in India by different academies. So just apply for one. You can do level one, so you will get basic knowledge of wine and wine tastings. Until level 2 and level 3, you will be an expert in recognizing your wine, your style of wine, your varieties, and you can be also be able to do the blind testings, where you just have a glass of wine, you just take a sip and you have to guess like what is the vintage, from which variety is the wine made, from which region it has came, and what might be the price of the wine. So all these things you can learn into this course, and you can become a wine tester, that is also called wine sommelier.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Is there any query? I hope all doubts are clear to everyone.
There is one question which I saw from Jyoti. Why there is a need to prepare wine or alcoholic beverages? So
Okay.
for this question, I would like to answer like uh, you have like different events and different things where you drink or you socialize with people. And if you see in foreign countries, they consume more alcoholic beverages. More alcoholic beverages, I would say they consume more wine. So they thinking of that is like it is healthy, so it is having health benefits for you, so you can consume it and you can stay healthy. So alcoholic beverages are being prepared due to the health benefits, and just for like if you're having like a party or something fun related things, you can also consume your alcohols into that sector. But we require wine preparation is because like it's an ancient technique which we follow today. Like if you have seen many mythological TV serials or something, so you can find like the god and goddesses are having a glass of Madeira, which they call, right? So that is basically wine, which they drink. So it came from since past many years, so which we are practicing now. So when wine was invented, it was like it accidentally was invented. The grape cluster fell off in a vessel and it started releasing out like the juice, and it got fermented. So you got your first wine out of it. So due to the market demand, we have to prepare a lot of wine because the demand and the consumption in India as well as in abroad is increasing immensely.
Absolutely, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions or queries? So I hope now all doubts are clear to everyone. So, sir, with your permission, shall we move towards appreciating session?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you, sir, for your adorable presentation and speech. So now I request Miss Shruti Lad to give a token of appreciation. Miss Shruti, please.
Yeah. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yes.
Okay. Before wrapping the session, I would like to thank our honorable speaker, Mr. Siddharth Mane sir, who spared time from his busy schedule and gave us a wonderful tour on wine technology. I'm confident that all aspirants food technology must have enjoyed this informative session and will utilize this knowledge in future. I would like to also thank Ms. Pooja for putting her efforts towards anchoring today. Also, thanks to all the participants for their enormous cooperation in this webinar. A little reminder, our next session will be of food safety and standards, which will be presented by Mr. Satish sir at 2 p.m. So you all are requested to join 15 minutes prior to session. Till then, stay safe.